Ding dong, the bells are gonna chime. Kick up a ruckus, but don't. I can't give spiritual advice in a vacuum.
Yeah, hopefully. And I don't know what Joe's going to do.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your friendly neighborhood stage manager. My name is Alan Gallant. Nice to see a bunch of friendly faces. So hold on just a second. Okay, so this panel, this is the final panel of the day. Thank you, artists, for staying here. I think you'll enjoy it. It's called Inspired by Dark Shadows, and our guests are Craig Hurd-McKenney, Patrick McCray, and from the mother country, Stuart Manning. Gentlemen, it's all yours. Inspired by Dark Shadows. What does that mean? I don't know. But we're up here anyway, and I said, shh, hit me. And we're happy to see you. You're the real heroes. You're the real Americans. Even Stuart, sort of, in an astronaut kind of way, a UFO kind of way. Ed Bishop, I don't know what I'm doing. So we're gonna share. We're gonna touch some lives, but not people. And I turn it to you. Have fun.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. I can tell you that I'm the author of Curse of Dark Shadows, the graphic novel that is set in the present day. We were at San Diego Comic-Con last weekend to promote the book, and the publisher, Hermes Press, told us that we have sold out of the first printing.
Oh, congratulations.
So thanks to you all for doing that. It was a bit of an uphill battle. A lot of publishers told me there was no audience for such a book. So we owe all of that to you guys. We will have the second edition, which is the second printing, in about 2 weeks. You can get it on Amazon now, or you can order it directly from Hermes Press. And a little other tidbit before I pass it on to you is that we are working on book 2 now, Fall of Dark Shadows. Woo! So thanks.
I haven't got a clue what I'm going to say. Well, I'm Stuart Manning. I've worked on many Dark Shadows things over the years. This year, produced Daytime Gothic, which is another issue of my fanzine, which I received and we've since pulped. So, in the fine tradition of 60th anniversary Dark Shadows books that aren't here, this one is not quite here either, but it's going to be here in a few weeks, and we tried.
If a man's reach doesn't exceed his grasp, what's heaven for? Robert Browning, thank you. And I'm done. So, how about that Lara Parker? Isn't she fabulous on the cover of that?
Yeah, well, actually, I can talk about that. That's so the catalyst for doing this was I did the first issue, and I thought I'm never doing this again. And then I had this idea, and I just couldn't let go of it. I thought, wouldn't it be great if Catherine Lee Scott and Lara Parker interviewed each other? And it was really inspired. There was a great feature I read in Interview magazine, which was Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger just chatting about what it's like to have had a long friendship and be growing old, and without being too melancholy or mawkish, realizing you're probably nearing the end. And I thought that'd be a fascinating conversation, and I pitched it to Lara and Catherine, and to my surprise and actually my gratitude, they were very, very keen to do it. What I didn't know at the time was that Lara was, you know, in her final illness, and I think, yeah, it was really, I think for her, she saw it, unbeknown to me, she saw it as an opportunity to memorialize her friendship with Catherine, her Dark Shadows experience over this many decades. And so it ended up being a really, really special conversation. We had Jim Storm and Valerie Storm take some nice portraits for it, and we tried to make it something really special. Not with the cognizance that it would be posthumous, and that's been one of the reasons why the magazine took quite a long time to put together, because I found that, you know, really difficult to face after. I felt the dust needed to settle, but I hope people enjoy it, because Lara was, for me, absolutely the heart of Dark Shadows. She was a very influential person in my life, massively so, and it's really sad she's not here, but I think it's a sort of final gift from her. I hope you'll all enjoy this conversation, and much gratitude and respect and admiration goes out to Catherine for doing what I think is actually a really heavyweight, credible piece of journalistic writing. It's not some kitschy fanzine bit of nostalgia. It's gritty.
Also,
I like it over it.
Will you tell people about the charity that it benefits?
Yes, so I did a lot of work for charity. Thank you for mentioning it. I don't. So I wanted to do, when I did the first Daytime Gothic, I did it for a cancer charity, which was related to a personal loss. And for this one, we wanted to find a charity that was meaningful to Lara. So it's going to be donated to Peace for Kids, which is a charity in Topanga she supported during her lifetime. And yeah, I hope we can raise a decent sum. I know we will. So yeah, it's all for a good cause.
When Lara Parker died, I was obviously moved, and I was more moved than I thought I'd be. And I wrote something that appeared in Collinsport Historical Society, and I really wrote it to be shared at a time like this. And so, if I may, I'd love to do that. Is that okay? God, we were lucky. Dan Curtis had the dream. Art Wallace made it one given form. The cast made it real. Jonathan Frid made it wholly unique. Lara Parker made it true. Every unbelievable thing she made true. Poised, yes. Precise, yes. All are traits of the Vassar debutante aristocracy. All of those things. And savage. Certainly savagely intelligent. Political fashion had yet to drive a wedge between the beauty pageant and the college boards. And so before the 21st century dictated otherwise, some extraordinary women really did do it all. Would you want to be the one to tell Lara Parker she couldn't? Or shouldn't? Be my guest. Tell me how that works out for you. I'm going to be down on the concrete bumper murmuring something about, I am Shiva, destroyer of worlds. Destroyer of worlds. Yes, Lara Parker. Destruction, creation, or aftermaths of each other. She destroyed worlds that had it coming. Or was that Angelique? Like Nimoy's Spock, just don't even bother to separate actor from role. No, she's not Angelique. And yet Angelique is nothing without her. Destroyer of worlds. She would have found that the most embarrassing praise possible. Humiliating beyond words. I'm sorry, honestly. Not done with that intent. I'm just trying to tell the truth. The only minutely positive thing to come from her passing is that we can finally and openly compliment her to a proper extent, one which my experience tells me she would have found embarrassing. Well, art is embarrassing. Sometimes our only defense against sorrow is to remind ourselves of joy, indulgently. And Angelique was all about indulgence. Let's unite Lara Parker and Angelique for just a few minutes. Just as an exercise. We do it anyway. Now I'm giving you permission, because I said so. Goddess of destruction. The good kind, and why not? Destroyer of expectations, of orthodoxy, of preconceptions, of assumptions, of what a witch was supposed to be, of what love was supposed to be, about what a debutante was supposed to be, what a philosopher was supposed to be, what an author was supposed to be, what a celebrity was supposed to be. Destroyer of a show with too many humans. It was a show that needed angry gods to give it humanity. And Barnabas is just one side of that equation. When Angelique entered Collinwood back around the time in the fall of 1795, it had to be obvious that the program that had everything finally had the one thing that no one was aware, that everyone found to be missing, but never knew it, if you follow me. To see her in action with those lines in those situations was to see something for the first time. To name drop within the family for just one moment, one of Cy Tomashev's proteges once told me about Mozart's most endearing quality. His music always has the freshness of hearing it for the first time every time. Yeah, like that, but blind and choking a toy soldier. Adorably. Yes, doing that, or melting at the sight of Barnabas, the way we all knew he deserved. Someone who loved him as beautifully and inexplicably as he loved Josette. And in the years after, she destroyed our sad little worlds, bereft of our friends, our real friends in Collinsport, by bringing them to life again in a bizarre act of unnatural love for a series that had given her and us so much. Has anyone ever given back that much? When Angelique's Descent hit the bookstores, didn't you think you were in the middle of the craziest dream? My God, how lucky. And then, to do it 3 more times? Has anyone, since April of 1971, sacrificed more hours and given us more creativity, authenticity, integrity, and art, genuine, lush, literary art in the name of Dark Shadows? No. Have you read those books? Of course the answer is yes. You know what I'm talking about. Those are books with a depth and a freedom that this strange dream should not have yielded. Those books are undeniable truth, that there is something of deep worth and resonance within this story. They are written with an eloquence and inspired elan that forever dispel the illusion that Dark Shadows is just some campy, nostalgic fad. I have lamented that Dark Shadows has yet to find its Nicholas Meyer, although a preemptive box of cigars is on its way to the marvelous Mark B. Perry. But I was wrong. Just as Meyer proved with the Star Trek mythos, Lara Parker did with the mythos of Dark Shadows. A film recording is just a thin recollection of a moment of flickering ephemeral art captured at the moment of its birth and vaporization. It's not the experience of acting. It's an echo of the experience of acting trapped in 2 dimensions. But writing is a physical thing. It lives in a book, in defined symbols, on a shelf in your hands, exactly the way it was intended. The words are what the authors saw when they appeared from keystrokes and pen strokes. It is the art that is always the same in the decades later reading as it was when it was created. Lara Parker gave us Dark Shadows as much as anyone, and then she got to give us again, in a way that will never die, and in that way, she will never die. It's all so unlikely. A guy puts golf on TV, and since golf is played during the day, he winds up running some daytime programming, and one Mrs. O'Leary's cow later, fate Rube Goldbergs us to this point now, together. If you're reading this or hearing this, I'm lucky. Someone else out there gets it. What a strange, micro-thin streak of fortune brought us together. Lara Parker's gone, and I hate those words bitterly. And that is a pain as deep and embarrassing as I ever want to feel. And I suspect as you ever want to feel. But think of how lucky we are to have such a reason to feel it. And that we are together. Lara Parker.
Well, I think you just answered the question of what does inspired by mean.
I hope so.
I'm coming off of the Grayson panel as well. I think I can maybe speak for myself a little bit and
Please.
you all jump in. The actors' performances are engaging no matter what time frame you come into the show. So even as a child watching it, I just remember being captivated by the performances. And when it came time to start writing the scripts for the graphic novels, I found myself going back and looking at specific scenes and watching the way that the actors engaged with each other. And the way that you talk about just our luck of being able to experience that and to share that joy and that pleasure together. all of that certainly influenced the work that I did, and I don't think you can enter this world and create new material in this world without acknowledging the influence of the actors.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm meant to add to that, but yeah. I suppose it's interesting that one of the things I find particularly interesting about Dark Shadows is because of the soap status, the actors do heavy duty. It's possible, depending on what soap you're watching, someone might play a character for 60 years. There's one in England on Coronation Street who's literally done that. And in the case of Dark Shadows, the idea that these people did, there are, I don't know, you can watch days of Jonathan Frid being Barnabas Collins. It's not episodic TV in that way, and I think because of that, there is a sort of deeper connection you have with those characters. And also because of the way Dark Shadows is made, and I think also slightly informed by the convention scene, I'm very conscious of them as actors putting on a show, and their dedication to do that, sometimes under incredibly difficult circumstances. And I think you watch it on two levels. I can, particularly, circling back to Lara, I got to know her quite well over the years. I can sort of see flashes where I go, oh, that's Lara, that's not Angelique. And sometimes you can tell you're not having a good day, or you're having an amazing day. You are loving this. I think you can see that with John Carlin. You can see there are some days he is like a surfer. He's just riding a wave with total confidence, and there'll be other days where Jonathan Frid literally goes up on the first line and your heart breaks for him, he just wilts. But yet, I don't think there's ever a point where the fiction completely collapses, and I think that's us as an audience being deeply invested in it, and wanting to believe even when things fall down, or, the dialogue is a semblance of words that might have been intended. But yet, I think that's what makes it so compelling. I find that dedication to making something and putting it on and inviting an audience to believe. I find that really moving. I don't know why.
Well, and in real life, scenery falls down. In real life, I forget my lines.
Yeah.
In real life, this night must go nothing wrong. I mean, I say things like, allow myself to introduce myself. I mean, these things happen all the time, and so, Barnabas forgets his lines now and then, so do I. I mean, so do we all, and to me, that just makes it all the more realistic. I in 2012, I watched the whole thing in 45 days, 10 hours a day, and it was like a window in my house to another place. And these people became companions for me for 10 hours a day. And yes, I'll confess something. If you like the blooper reels, great. I don't. I really admire what they're doing and how they persevere. And it reminds me of what we're doing and how we persevere. And it's one of the things that makes it's so grand, that there is so much of it, 450 hours, something like that. And that's a whole world to immerse yourself in. And I'll say this, if you ever get the chance to do something as mind-numbingly stupid as I did and spend that kind of time with it, the experience you will have is this. You will remember the beginning of the show quite clearly as you are going through the end of it. And that gives you a sense of this story and this universe as a brilliantly complete thing that, not to be grandiose, but reminds me of, in a television sense, what astronauts talked about when they got to the moon and got to see the Earth all at once. And you see Dark Shadows all at once. And I don't have the words to say necessarily, what it means in a single sentence. But emotionally, you certainly feel that there is something really grand and unique and wonderful there. And whether you enjoy it all at once or you enjoy it in little slices, there's, for me, nothing like it.
something in that. I think there's also with Dark Shadows, particularly as I think it becomes more in the rearview mirror, we're looking at it from such a distance. It's the thing I'm fascinated by is that it's a record of people in a very specific time and a place doing something, and the fact we can pinpoint every single day the episode you're watching was taped. You know, I remember, like, I looked up I was reading about the Tate LaBianca murders. You know, I remember looking up what was the episode that taped after that, and I asked Lara Parker about that, and she said, "Yeah, I remember that. I remember that happening. I remember us in the green room talking about it and wondering were we a part of it." And I just sort of, you know, I looked up the week of the Stonewall riots and when Louis Edmonds taped after that, and it was just so, I just wondered what was going through his mind in that. When this is going on a few blocks down the road, he was on that week, but I think that thing of it is a touchstone to what is now a very distant time. That becomes more precious as time goes on.
Absolutely. When Wallace McBride first came up with the idea for the Dark Shadows Daybook, one of the things that he wanted was for me to root it very much in. I wrote essays about episodes on the anniversary of the day they were shot, and I would always go to the history, to what was going on that day, to see the context, to understand what the actors had been experiencing, you know, around the water cooler, outside the studio, what they were walking into, what they were walking out of. And, you know, we think of other shows as being so political, and they are. Star Trek, certainly original series. Dark Shadows just as much. It's sometimes a little bit more under the waves, but sometimes it's not. And it is a wonderful record of the time.
I mean, it's subversive. It's subversive, it's feminist, it's got a cast of men who are predominantly queer, which was unheard of. The show is very political, even if it's kind of percolating under the waves a little bit. And to me, I find that very inspiring, that the art that these people were creating is doing that through a fictional lens.
Yes, very much so. I saw a hand.
Shall I do my Oprah? I'll run.
Please.
Yes. You get a turkey. You get a turkey.
I just wanted to say something to it. I can't see very well, so I'm not sure who it was that read that amazing soliloquy, I would call it. That's the one I can think of for Lara Parker. Who was that?
It was I.
His name is Patrick.
You made me cry so much. No, that's a good thing. Lara Parker is, she was so amazing on Dark Shadows that when I was in the 8th grade, I wore my hair like her and wore a dress for my graduation just to look like Lara Parker. And because of what she did with Angelique's Descent, gave me the guts to write the Tales of the Elsewhere, which is a sci-fi meets Christianity book that I wrote that's published, because of Lara Parker. And I've also written a song about that she got to hear once before she passed away. She was so blessed by it. I've never heard something so beautiful from Lara Parker, and I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
What a legacy. Thank you.
Moving to the other side of the room.
We have 5 minutes.
Patrick, other than, I think the kind of the obit or the tribute that you did for Lara Parker was the best piece you've ever written. There was another piece, and we've talked about this a lot, and that is when you talked about Clarice Blackburn's Mrs. Johnson in 1995, looking back and saying, oh, that wonderful summer before.
Oh,
and
yeah, this is after 95. This is in Ragnarok.
Right, and we've talked about this a lot, and you thought that the destruction of Collinwood is where America was at that time, which we had gone through the 60s, and then culminating in the Tate LaBianca murders, and everything was a wreck. And that you just so nailed it. And when I look back, I got emotional. Clarice Blackburn that's like the best thing she ever did on the show.
Those 1995 episodes are extraordinary, and they're extraordinary largely because of her. Let's hear for Reese Blackburn. Family. To think that you are a creation and a creator of the Enlightenment, Barnabas Collins, and that you have come from the invention of America, and so much aspiration, and that you wind up in 1995. And that always just struck me as so poignant to see where it all went. And it's a parallel for Collinwood, of course. You know, Collinwood's in ruin, and America's in ruin, and you have to ask yourself, and Barnabas had to ask himself, well, is it this way because I was not there? Or is it this way because I was there at all and then left and it went spiraling out of control? I don't know. But, you know, those are the politics that are just suggested, that are inspired and within us. But yeah, thank you, Don. Thank you.
I'll tell you really quickly, since you all stayed here, you'll get a little preview of Fall of Dark Shadows. We will see Mrs. Johnson again. Woo! Other questions? They're all ready to go to bed.
I have...
Screaming, whatever.
I have...
Go ahead.
Yes, no, what, who, where? I didn't do it.
No.
I have an idea for a Sarah Johnson board game, but I'll tell you about that later. It doesn't involve making a skeleton. It does not involve that. But if we are headed towards bed, he said seductively, here's one last thing. This is something that the proudest thing that ever showed up my email box was a fan letter from David Selby. From David Selby. And it goes like this. Since it's July, sort of, Christmas in July. 'Twas the night before Christmas when through the old house no one living was stirring, not even Willie that louse. The secret door by the chimney hung open, who cares? And Buzz Hackett was absent to call them all squares. The mortals slept fitless in their Collinwood beds, while dark dreams of chroma key danced in their heads. It was a melancholy evening, her absence to blame. Without Angelique's laughter, the season was tame. When out by the tower there arose such a din, had a tipsy Dr. Hoffman finally pulled in? Up towards the window I jumped like a cat, and out through the window I flew as a bat. The moon glittered like diamonds on the rocks of the shore, and Widow's Hill's invite I chose to ignore. When what to my sonar sharp ears did appear but a roaring jalopy with some villain so dear. Oh, Roger from the wheel away he did shirk, for he crashed into Collinwood but couldn't blame Burke. More rapid than zombies, his retinue disembarked, and he fumed and shouted to recall where they parked. Now Adam, now Bruno, now kitten you vixen. I'd blame our crash on the new speed limit, and I'm still rooting for Nixon. To the drawing room bar, grab a good frosted glass, alert Mrs. Johnson, that pain in the ass. Get Quentin in here and let him quake in his shoes. Drinking coffee, I doubt it, because I've been marking the booze. So up the grand staircase, his carousers they flew, with a bag full of body parts and good Eric Lang too. And then from a foley I heard someone dismount. It was a roaring magician who said he was a count. As I glided in loops and was turning around, I saw Andreas Patofi with some daybooks unbound. Sorry, a little plug there. He was dressed all in velvet from his head to his toes, nothing off the rack from Brewster's. He had style and it showed. Books in a bundle he had flung on his back, an Edwardian swinger from Sinatra's Rat Pack. His eyes behind glasses, how they glittered and gleamed, and Aristide beside him plotted and schemed. His words were excited and jolly and merry, opposed to that dribble from that boor Wendell Berry. His assistant was hoping for a good puppet show, but Angelique was absent, and that filled him with woe. The stump of his wrist ached for her magic touch. Without it, his digits were hardly worth much, but his broad face still grinned. At her memory dear, and he approached this house of mourning with a distinct lack of fear. He knew it was Christmas and would go with no hitch. If there's a return you can count on, it's that of a witch. I guffawed when I saw him. I knew he was right. Her spirit was out there on this glorious night. He called not for line, but drew a star on the floor and commenced a dark working to bring her to our door. While laying his hand on the apex, he ranted and bellowed and raved and magically chanted. He spoke dark incantations, first heard cross the pond, and then laughed when he presented me a most bewitching lost blonde. And I heard him exclaim as he left like a streak, "You can't call it Christmas without the fair Angelique."
What time is it?
Exactly.
It's time.
It's time? Okay, can we quickly say, do you all have other things that they should be looking for, things that are coming out?
No.
I just got a new book, Dark Shadows Daybook Triumphant, which I had a lot of fun doing for Collinsport Historical Society. We live. And I have maybe 1 or 2 copies left, but I have more on Amazon, and they're actually cheaper than they are here, wink, wink. So enjoy them.
We will have the Fall of Dark Shadows Kickstarter happening sometime in August, so keep an eye out for that. And I have another book called Best Friend Show coming out in September. If you love dogs and cozy books that we all need right now, then keep an eye out for Best Friend Show.
I should say the Daytime Gothic is being reprinted, and we should have them in about 3 weeks. So if you've ordered one already, thank you for your patience, and if you haven't ordered one, well, you should.
Thank you all for being, and thank you for inspiring us, being inspired. Thank you.